Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time. Some say that Tom is like a giant among men. Others say he's a little obsessed.
Yeah! I don't even have a top 10.
Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time.
Alrighty, welcome back. Here we are with 10 more games and 10 more ties. We're talking today about numbers 90 to 81, so we're still in the bottom of the 100, but don't worry, these games are all really great games. Even if, sometimes I see people like, oh, that game's 85. Yes, 85 out of 3,000. Okay, so these are all really great games. If you like these games, check them out on our website at dicetower.com. We're going to have all the games up there. You can go look at links. You can go click. You can buy them. You can see more information about them. Maybe if I have a review of it, you'll be able to see it there. All that at dicetower.com. Enough of that nonsense. Let's take a look at some games.
Number 90, Brighton, Brighton.
Reifenbreit is one of the games that I love to see come back into circulation, and I almost feel bad about putting this in my top 100 because it always gets people excited about it, and it's out of print. It won the Spiel des Jahres in 1992, which is a really big deal, but it seems to have been forgotten. It's a bicycle racing game, but in it you have 4 bicycles, and you're racing them around a track. The artwork is Mad Magazine style, and you can draft the player in front of you, or you can decide to bike on your own. There's lots of dice rolling in this game, which would make it seem like it's fairly lucky, and I suppose it is, but there's strategy because you have cards you can play instead of dice. You have to decide when to draft other players and when not to, and there's a lot of interesting decisions, and yet it makes for a very fun, silly game. And if one of your bikers is doing terrible, hopefully your other ones are covering for him. A lot of fun. One of my favorite racing games, that's for sure. Reifenbreit, the bike racing game.
Number 89, Domain.
Yeah, this is the game that Klaus Teuber is not as well known for as Settlers of Catan, but it is certainly a great game in its own right, and this one still is in print as far as I can tell. Domain. Domain is exactly what the name describes, as you have a kingdom and you are trying to control your domain. And what makes a good domain and what makes good neighbors? Well, good fences make good neighbors, right? And that's what you're doing in this game, is you're building fences and basically around your region, but then you can take your region and encroach on your neighbor's region, and you actually watch the boundaries of your regions buckle and change as the game progresses. It has really nice pieces. It's actually a fairly vicious game with some neat mechanics. You have to decide when to take different cards, when to play different cards, when to how to build your territories, build them strong and small, or try to get as much gobble up area as you can. A lot of interesting features of this game, and it takes certainly less than 90 minutes to play. If you've never tried this one out, play it. Be warned that it's not the friendliest game in the world, but it is a lot of fun. Domain.
Number 88, Through the Desert.
I really need to get rid of this box. This is a huge box. I mean, it's your typical Ticket to Ride size box, I call these. It's a good size square box, but Through the Desert this is the old German version. It has been reprinted in a smaller, much more compact version from Fantasy Flight Games. So I should probably pick it up because the size of the box doesn't matter in this case. This is an abstract game. Yes, it talks about camels, bloggity blog blog. It's not what the game's about at all. It's about controlling regions. In fact, this is what Go should be. Fun, in other words. Though I know there's lots of Go players out there, but that game's so cerebral that when I play it, my brain turns into a mixture of Jell-O and pudding. This game, when I play it, I understand, but I still feel like it offers really tough decisions. How are you going to do your camels? But you only have one thing you can do in your turn. Put out 2 camels on the board. That's it. Place 2 camels. You can pick 2 different colors, whatever. But where you put them is what matters. And watching how everybody else plays them, a very good game of interaction. And it plays up to 5 players, and I think it's just as good with 5 players as it is with 2. It has some very beautiful pieces. Through the Desert.
Number 87, Carcassonne.
Some sometimes I'm surprised that myself that Carcassonne is still on this list. Now, this is just one of the several boxes I have Carcassonne in. I suppose I could get one of those Carcassonne big boxes, but I hate to rebuy the game just to get a better box to put everything in. But Carcassonne, there is a ton of expansions. In fact, I'm fairly certain I don't own them all. I'm fairly certain I haven't played them all, even possibly all the ones I have, and yet I keep picking up these expansions because they're really neat, I think. The problem is there's so many expansions now that I can barely play it with people because there's just so much going on. Now, that being said, if you come to my house and you say, Tom, I am one person, not a group, but one person, and I like Carcassonne and I love all the expansions, even the Catapult expansion, which everyone made fun of, I love that one too. And I will say, fantastic. You and I will play a two-player game here with all these different rules, and every time a new tile will come out, some interesting experience will happen. We'll set a time limit on it because we don't want to play with every single tile. We'll set a time limit on it of maybe an hour, hour and a half, and at the end of that time period, we'll add up the points, and whoever has the most points wins. That, my friends, is how you play Carcassonne. That's the way I want to play Carcassonne, and yes, I know it's a great basic game, but for me, Carcassonne is so much more deeply layered because there's 287 billion expansions in here. Well, maybe like 8, but still, there's a lot.
Number 86, 7 Ages.
Seven Ages is a game that's on my list, but I don't know. Should it be on my list? I mean, it's been a few years since I played it because it is a game that is grandiose, that is huge, that offers a ton of stuff going inside. The components aren't that good with a thin map and these little chits that are inside. They're horrible. I mean, they're disgraceful, really. It's not that good of quality, and yet I like it because this is civilization in a box. This is our human history in a box. Yeah, I mean, I could use another deck of civilizations. There's a few civilizations that they didn't put in, but they put in a lot. And if your civilization tanks during the course of the game, so what? Let it go into decline and start a new one. This is complex. Probably out of every game on my list, this is the most complicated one. And I don't know, and I normally don't like games like this, but I enjoy this one because it's so in-depth, because there's so much going on, and because the options you have are huge. And interestingly enough, there are wild swings of luck that can happen over the course of the game, but it never bothers me because I can just start another civilization. So this is the real Sid Meier civilization. Not as pretty, not as streamlined as the new one, but it's pretty cool. 7 Ages.
Number 85, Carcassonne, the City.
Now this is the game that if people were coming to my house and wanted to play Carcassonne who've never played it before, this is the game that I'd bring them. Now this is the wooden box version. It currently comes in a non-wooden box. Ha ha ha. But it just like Carcassonne, has a bag of meeples just like Carcassonne, plays very similar to Carcassonne but also plays very differently. Matching the tiles up isn't as critical in this one, but at the same time how you match them up is still just as important. The city walls give it a wonderfully visual effect. There is most definitely a time limit on this game, and there are 0 expansions for it. So if you don't like expansions, this is the one you like. If you notice, I have it higher than Carcassonne on my list because I just like how it just fits together. It just has a great feel to it. You feel like you're building a city as the game progresses, and when you're done, the city is built. It's really cool, very quick playing, and one that I'm glad to bring out when people come over. Are you coming over? Come on over. We'll play this game, Carcassonne, the City.
Number 84, Battlestar Galactica.
This game is one of the bigger drops of games on my list. I believe it was at 49 last time. Now it's down to 84. Again, realize that's not that it's a bad thing. I do like Battlestar Galactica, but I found that I'm not wanting to bring it to the table as much as I used to. In fact, just this past weekend, someone said, let's play Battlestar Galactica. And I was like, oh man, 3 hours. It's a great game, but I don't know if, it's, and I hemmed and hawed. I like the game a lot. I just didn't feel like playing at that point in time. And when I don't want to play a game every second of the day, it probably shouldn't be in my top 50. So, there we go. But, You talk about bringing a theme to life. Go to your typical toy store and look for a game that's based on a TV show or a movie, and I guarantee you 90% of the time has nothing to do with that TV show or movie, or barely, and doesn't make any sense, or it's a horrible game. Very rarely is it a good game and matches the movie. Or, here you go. If you've watched a TV show at all, exactly in the box. Has a great expansion and has a decent expansion, a second expansion. You don't want to use everything from all the expansions, but there's some interesting elements to this, and it has huge fans out there, and we're still seeing it played a long time ago. I remember when it was first announced, we said, that sounds so good, but will it be good? Yeah, it really is that good. Battlestar Galactica.
Number 83, Settlers of Catan.
This might be in my top 10 of ties. It's just so colorful. Now, this game is probably one of the most famous on my list in Settlers of Catan, and it's actually kind of cool these days if you are a board gamer to be like, Settlers of Catan, so lucky, I don't know how people like it. I do like it. Now, I hesitated about putting Settlers of Catan on my list. I almost brought out the Star Wars Catan, because that's the one that I will play. If you just want to play basic Settlers of Catan, that's the one I'll play. If you want to throw in some expansions, preferably, in my opinion, smaller expansions, then this is a good one. The Seafarers, the Fishermen of Catan, smaller expansions, I like those. They add a lot to the game. Then, of course, there's the Deluxe Edition. That's a nice one, too. And that's one I wouldn't mind playing. And that one I bring to conventions. So come to DicetowerCon.com. Go check it out. But anyhow, Settlers of Catan just works. People scorn it once they played games, but the trading aspect is tight in it. There's a lot of strategy involved in it. I think it's a really good game, and I do enjoy playing it. I put it on my list, especially when you include some of the expansions for variety's sake. Settlers of Catan.
Number 82, Risk Legacy.
Of the 10 games I'm talking about today, this is the only one that's new to the list, but it was not a hard decision. Risk Legacy. Now, if you know what I think about Risk never had a chance of making my top 100. Well, maybe when I was a teenager. But I just think Risk is samey, boring, comes down to whoever controls Australia. Try to control Australia in this game. If you do, I will make it uninhabitable. Or not, or whatever. I will create... Well, I can't even talk about this game. This is one of the few games with spoilers. And if you haven't played it before, you really got to try it out. You say, oh, it's just Risk. But no, this is a game of Risk where when you open different packets in the game, different things will happen. A new faction actually appears halfway through the game. Each faction has special abilities that change. Territories are destroyed forever. You write on the board forever, and you say, oh, you're touching game pieces. Yes, I know. But when you're done, this is my Risk copy. This is mine. I will not trade this one away because it's my world. We created it. And now when we play Risk, we're playing a custom version of Risk. Sure, I'll play Risk Legacy with you, and if you want to get a new copy, we'll go through it. And we'll have your Risk, but you can come into my world. It's just such a neat concept. I'm really surprised no one else has jumped on that bandwagon, but I like it a lot, and I think it's a fantastic design. It's totally innovative, and it came from Hasbro. I like it. Risk Legacy.
Number 81, War of the Ring.
And the last game for today, War of the Ring. Now, this is the new version of War of the Ring from Ares Games. War of the Ring originally came out, was produced. Fantasy Flight got the license. Then the company that originally made it went out of business, and now a new company, Ares Games, has remade it. It's fairly similar to the original one, but they're coming out with an expansion that seems like it's going to add some pretty cool stuff. War of the Ring has fallen on my list a bit. Let's see, it was 67, now it's 81. That's not a bad thing. One of the reasons is because it's lengthy, and because it's lengthy and two-player, yeah, I know, four-player, whatever, two-player, because it's lengthy and two-player, I don't get it to the table as much as I'd like to, but as I always say, every time I talk about this game, this is Lord of the Rings in a box. It really is. With beautiful miniatures, with the sweeping battle and the hunt for the ring, with Gollum and Balrog and all those guys in this game, famous characters moving around, tough decisions, fierce battles. It's here, and it's the political aspect is here. It's a lot of neat things packed into a box. It's certainly not for everybody, but it does use a dice allocation system, which most games don't use, but when the games do use it, I like it a lot. See Seasons, which just came out. But it's a fun game. I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy movies, my favorite movies. I like the books, and I like the game, War of the Ring. So that's it, folks, for this time. That's 10 more games. Come back on Friday, and we'll have 10 more for you. But if you can't wait till then, you can always check out my daughter's Top 100 list and the People's Choice Top 100 list. All of those can be found on our YouTube channel or on our website at dicetower.com. If you like these, you can find out lots of reviews that we have on our website. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Some say that Tom is like a giant among men. Others say he's a little obsessed.
I don't even have a top 10.
Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time.